So over the past few weeks, I've had a bit of a massive wake-up call. And this wake-up call has made me make some pretty major changes to my investing portfolio, the way I go about investing, and just the way that I think about crypto now as a part of my portfolio. And this wake-up call, I think a lot of you guys, if not all of you, need to have. And most of you haven't had this wake-up call yet. And I think it is super important. The changes that I'm making here that you guys don't necessarily change, but at least consider for yourself. So I'm sure you've noticed crypto's dying while the stock market is pumping. There's just so much money being made in the stock market while crypto does nothing. And as well as that, in the traditional world, we have all these amazing innovations, more coming out every day. Robotics, medicine, self-driving, spaceships landing back on Earth, being reusable, and much more. While crypto, the greatest innovation that's happened over the past 2 years is what, like on-chain stocks on Hyperliquid? Like, there's been nothing. And it's just been really sad. And there's just been a million scams that have launched and they've taken everyone's money. And there's just no signs that this is going to change anytime soon. And this video, I don't want it to be like a big insight that crypto is a scam. I've always known it's a scam. But the problem is it's not necessarily the best place to make money going forward. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. And I also want to talk about one of the most important ideas you need to keep in mind when it comes to money. This lesson ties across everything from choosing what business to work in, what company to work for, what career to pursue, what investments to make. It is the most important lesson. And I saw it on this tweet yesterday. And it's this concept of that when you play poker, the most important decision is the table selection. And I know you might look at that at face value and go, I mean, it's a good insight, but it's pretty obvious, right? It goes a lot deeper than this, okay? Because when you play poker, right, like it says, the most important decision is table selection. So just a little ChatGPT visual for you. Imagine each table was like a different sector, right? You can put your money in crypto, stocks, commodities, prediction markets, sports betting. There's all these different tables. And at any given point in time, there are people sitting at these tables with different skill levels. And your ability to make money from the world is based on not how good you are at beating the pros, but how good are you at picking which table is the easiest to make money from, which is the table with the least experienced players. This concept of table selection is not just about investing. It's about everything. So when you're picking your career path, what company you're going to work for, the company selection is the most important part. It's more important than the salary they offer you, the position they give you, anything else. The company you work for is the most important, because if you work for a company run by a bunch of idiots, it doesn't matter if they pay you a lot of money because the company will eventually die. If you work for a company that goes on to become Google and you were the 5th employee and they paid you nothing for the first few years, you ended up being a multi-millionaire. So the company selection is the most important part. As well as this from financial markets, like I just said, most important part is the market you place yourself in. Where do you invest your money? And for the past 10 years, crypto has been the single best casino, the best table to sit at by far. And that's why I've always done crypto. That's why I've always recommended it. Because crypto had, for a long time, especially from 2017, 2016 till 2021, it had the largest amount of new investor inflow. And that's where the opportunity is. New investors is how you make money. You don't take money from the billionaires, the sharks, the people who are incredibly experienced. You take money from beginners. That's how you make money. And so the sector that has the most opportunity is the one with the largest amount of new investors entering with the lowest amount of experience. That's where the money is. And to give you an example of this, let's look at poker and the boom that happened from 2003 to 2011. So the poker boom was kicked off by this guy called Chris Moneymaker. He won a competition and he was basically just some amateur accountant, some normal guy, right? And he went famous on television. Back then, obviously television's blowing up. People are getting more into like online things. So there's like online casinos are starting to pop up. And everyone all of a sudden starts going, wow, like I could do this too. I could make a bunch of money like this guy, Chris. And so what you saw was thousands and thousands of people, maybe millions, signing up to these online poker platforms to learn how to play poker. And this had real money at stake. So these were people with, $10,000 coming in with no experience trying to make money in poker. And remember, in poker, it's a game of taking other people's money, obviously. But imagine you've been playing poker for years, and now all of a sudden you're sitting at tables with a bunch of beginners. You're not complaining, you're euphoric, because you can beat beginners basically every single time. And what happened was the poker players who were experienced described this period of time as basically like printing money. It was literally a money printer for people who were at least semi-sophisticated at playing poker. And so this was what you would call alt season. In the poker world, they had an alt season, easy money, right? And when you think about what a crypto alt season is, it's the same thing. It's just a bunch of people with no experience coming in, and all the people who've already been in the market with the experience taking their money. That's all it is. And so then you think about the crypto boom, right? From 2016 to at least 2021, that was the main period where crypto was the hottest, the spotlight, the most interesting thing happening, right? We had DeFi summer in 2020. We had NFTs. This is when everything was super hot. And obviously with 2024, we've got Bitcoin ETF. There's a little bit of a, mass adoption interest thing there. But even then, the altcoin space didn't do too well. We had meme coins take off, but that was temporary. It wasn't really an alt season. And during this period of time, 2016 to 2021, there wasn't really much happening outside of crypto. AI was like slowly progressing, but it was pretty shit. Like, think about the Will Smith eating spaghetti video. Like, AI was shit, right? Robotics, not really much happening. Social media, there wasn't really much changing. There was none of this like massive investment into the build out of energy or chip production. Like, there wasn't that much happening. Crypto was the thing, right? Crypto was the most interesting thing happening from 2016 to 2021. It was the number one casino, and that's why it was so profitable, because all the new investors who were looking for somewhere to put their money had one place to put it, basically, and it was crypto. That was the place to go. And slowly, crypto has been losing its place as the number one casino. There's basically nothing of substance coming out of crypto besides some boring innovations with like permissionless finance. Oh my god, I can now lend without having to go to a bank. Who gives a fuck? No one cares. On-chain stocks trading, boring. And prediction markets, which is also sort of boring. And even prediction markets, that doesn't even make people in the altcoin space money. It's sort of like a separate thing. And also the current landscape, we've got AI and robotics. AI's massive investment, billions, hundreds of billions of dollars being invested in building that out. There's like hundreds of millions of people using AI. Everyone's seeing it being adopted. Everyone's talking about it. It has the mind share, right? Robotics. Elon is constantly ramming on about the Optimus and how it's going to be the most popular product in the world. A lot of these robotics companies are starting to do cool stuff with the robots. People are actually buying robots, and you can see them in public now. In parts of America, you'll see people walking around with their robots. These sectors are entering hyperdrive growth, and they've overtaken crypto as the number one casino. It's just so much more interesting, a robot, than fucking DeFi. No one cares about DeFi. And going forward, when you think about what is the narratives in crypto that's going to make it the most interesting casino, the most interesting, most best poker table to play on. And there isn't much. Like, moving everything on chain is sort of boring compared to AI. Like, there's a couple things, but it's really not that interesting. All the new investor flow also is spread amongst different things. We've got the commodities boom, gold and silver pumping, uranium's been doing well. Sports betting, basically everywhere you look, every time you watch sport, they're shilling some sports betting platform. Prediction markets, that's really hot. People are getting into prediction markets. That's also sort of sports betting as well. And then you've got AI, energy, and robotic stocks. Okay, so the capital that people, like the new investors and the capital that they don't just have crypto now. They have a lot of places they can put their money. And this is why crypto is really difficult to make money from right now. That's why crypto is so dead. And it's why stocks are booming at the same time. It's like confusing, right? Crypto sucks, stocks boom. How is that possible? Well, that's why. And so the poker lesson here is that you can be a great player, but if you sit at a tough table, you're not going to make any money. So me, right? I've been investing for 7-8 years, and I'm a good investor. I'm not the world's best investor, but I've done pretty fucking well. But even with my skills as an investor, I'm struggling to make money in the crypto space right now. I'm not making money right now. There is no money to make. Unless I just was super in the trenches 24/7, I'm just not going to be making money right now, right? But if I was to suddenly sit at a table with amateurs, which I actually have been in the stock market, I've been printing money there. So the lesson is like, doesn't matter how good I am, it matters where I sit. What table am I sitting at? That's the most important part. And yeah, the crypto lesson is you don't need to be the best investor. You need to be sitting at the easiest table with the most inefficiencies and the highest inflow of new participants. And this quote is just the perfect summary. The best investor is not he who can make profit in the toughest conditions. It's the investor who can best place himself on the easiest tables to profit from. Really important lesson there. Again, which table are you going to place yourself on? A lot of people watching this video are all in on the hardest table because it's like an ego trip. It's like, oh, well, if I can make money, if it was really hard to make money, I really deserved it. No, you can't always just rely on easy money, man. You got to be able to make money when it's really hard. Full of shit. That's not how this works. Okay, this is the truth. I don't think you necessarily need to go all from crypto to only stocks. I think you got to be able to move where the money is, and that means not just only doing one thing forever. And I want to give you an example of me doing this in practice. So 9 months ago, I made my first ever allocation to stocks. I made like 7 mil before I ever bought a stock. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start my journey into stocks. This was already my plan because I've gotten to a level of money where I can't just do crypto, right? So the first stock I bought was 400K of Tesla at 240, 250 bucks, okay? Tesla today is about to make a new all-time high at 450, okay? So you can see I bought it here, it's here, right? Tesla looks incredible. And it's basically just been going only up with minor retracements the entire way, okay? And everyone in my mastermind who bought this is also doing really well, okay? So that's an 80% gain, about a 400K profit, and price looks like it's going to go higher into 2026, right? Now, I also bought Riven. So Riven I bought it here at about $13. I also bought some up here, and it's now at $18 a month later. So it's up about 36% in total from my average entry point. Okay? And Riven was really easy. You basically just draw support levels, buy support, and it went up. Like, it was very, very easy to make money from this play, right? It's not like crypto where everything goes to zero. Like, these are real companies. Like, you buy Riven stock, you see the Riven car every day in America. Like, these are real things. And again, this was something I shared with the mastermind, and these guys are all making money from this. What I'm showing this for you is to show you that I am a good investor, but I'm losing money in crypto right now. I'm a good investor, but I'm printing in the stock market. The difference between me making no money in crypto and making money in stocks is it was basically me being able to place myself on an easy poker table, right? That's what I did here. Let's talk about why it's easy to make money from stocks. Well, at the moment, price respects support and resistance levels. So you just draw support lines, it hits it. In crypto, it'll fuck you over, it'll like liquidate you, it won't hit the support, it'll just mess with you. In the stock market, it's very simple, straightforward. In the stock market, you have multiple weeks to buy. So I've been wanting to buy Riven for ages, for weeks, and it gave me a month to get a good entry point. I bought the bottom, and then it started going up, right? It gave multiple entry points. It wasn't just with crypto where by the time you figure out the thesis, it's already rallied 10x. No, it gives you a lot of time to buy. The downside is limited. It's not like it's going to go to zero because it's a real company, right? So it's a very low chance of going to zero. The volatility is less, right? The upside's still decent. Riven's still a stock that can go 5-10x. Riven going 5 to 10x wouldn't even be hitting a new all-time high. It's not like it's going to a price it wasn't already. Its all-time high was like 140 bucks. Basically zero risk of rug pull, right? The narratives are straightforward. So there's plenty of dumb retail to support price higher after you've bought. In crypto, because everyone's experienced and it's only sharks left, there's no like buy the rumor, sell the news, because everyone knows that's the play. Whereas in the stock market, it still works. So the rumor with Riven is that they're launching the R2 next year. So you buy before the Riven comes out and you sell when it comes out, and it actually works. Well, at least it's working so far. You're betting on the world's smartest people. So when you buy Tesla, you're basically betting on the best businessman in the world. Essentially the richest man in the world, and you're betting on a company that makes a lot of money. So the revenue a company makes puts a bottom line on how low the stock can go, because a company has its valuation predominantly because it's making money. That's like the underlying value of the stock. It's that this thing makes money, right? And obviously Tesla, the multiples are insane. It's not like the revenue's really supporting this stock, but there's still risk there. But still, assuming the world is going to function as it is now, and it depends what you buy. If you buy a stock index, it's just generally going to rise over time, right? Because inflation, there's more money in circulation, companies' revenues go up, valuations go up, all right? So stocks just naturally will, in general, overall, raise over time. And if you're investing into stocks like Tesla, for example, at the right time, they're going to go up as well, right? You need to invest in these things at points of peak fear, at inflection points. Same as any other asset class. You want to buy peak fear, and then your downside's quite limited. In crypto, you have to sort through hundreds of different cryptos just to find one that you like. In the stock market, assuming you're sticking to larger companies, you don't need to look into too many. And the information on the stock to research into it is quite abundant. There's a lot of information online because there's obviously a lot of people investing in it. In crypto, you got to go digging for stuff. And just to show you another example of a stock that I recommended, I told everyone in the mastermind, buy in the green zone. It went into the green zone. In July, I said sell coin, and that was at the top. So here's another example. We bought here when it hit the support level, and then it went up 3x, and we sold it here. So again, it's just another example to illustrate to you that, like, for me, in my experience, stocks are like a lot easier to make money from than crypto, because this is where the new investors are going, and it's just an easier market in general. So the wake up call is this: crypto is getting harder and harder to make money from within the altcoin space for a number of reasons. One of these reasons is that crypto is not the best casino anymore, and it's not what's interesting new investors. When there's no new investors coming in, you're competing against experienced players, which makes it hard to make money. And other casinos are sucking up all the new investor flow, and that's where the easy money is. Another reason that crypto is performing poorly is that because it's not where the cool stuff is happening anymore, all the smart young talent who was coming to crypto, they're all going to other sectors. They're going to AI, they're launching AI companies, most of them are. They're launching something in robotics, or they're in other industries like biotech or medicine, whatever it is, right? Where the talent goes, the best casino grows. That's how it works. And it's not necessarily going to be always like this. I don't think crypto is just dead forever. But going forward, the best casino is AI and robotics. And so if you've got 50K capital or more, and you aren't doing any stocks besides maybe a Roth IRA or something, I think you need to take this reflection and insight as a reason to think about, why aren't you doing stocks, and should you be considering it? Because crypto isn't some like permanent best casino forever. It's not like I'm just going to do crypto for the next 30 years and it's always going to be the best casino and it's always going to be the place that has the easiest money. That's not the case. Crypto's boring. It is really boring, and it's a scam. And there's basically nothing interesting happening in terms of what interests new investors. And there's basically no innovation happening besides a couple things. The world's moved on to better casinos, and you need to adapt or fall behind. So I would say crypto is maybe the second or third best casino right now when you view it compared to other places that you can, go to make money as a new investor. And at some point, crypto will perform well. I don't think we're ever going to get back to what we had in 2016 to 2021, where crypto was like the place to be. Just another summary: crypto will always have booms, but probably not the number one casino. So this is my recommendation for you. So because all the mindshare, talent, innovation, and the new investor flow is outside of crypto, but the only way to hit 100x gains realistically is inside crypto, I think this creates two mental buckets, or two, I guess, actual buckets that you would put capital into. So the first bucket would be the stock bucket. This is where you aim to buy stocks that have long-term upside, where you just buy them and you don't do anything. You're investing into a real company that's transforming the world. So things like Tesla, Coinbase, Hood, Riven. And then you've got number two, which is the high upside, highly risky speculative bets on new metas within crypto with active position management. This whole video is not to tell you not to do crypto, but it's to tell you that you need to be realistic with what you could possibly achieve from this sector, and the reality of like what crypto is in comparison to other industries going forward. How much upside is there? How interesting is it? And what is the potential of new investor flow for it, right? That's what we're trying to think about here. With these two buckets in mind, you would then want to decide what percent of your monthly income or savings you'd like to allocate to both. And then you'd want to stick to that. Let's say you have 10K every month that you want to invest into something. Maybe you decide that you want to put half into the stock market and then half into the crypto market to try to outperform, right? Having half into stocks is going to protect you from if number one goes to zero, because a lot of people zeroed out this bear market and they basically have nothing left. And if let's say 2 years ago, the people who lost all their money this past 6 months went into the stock market instead and bought Tesla, they would have doubled the money that they put in. So instead of going from, I invested 100K, now I got nothing, they got 200K. Right? Or imagine if they bought Google or something that went up even more than Tesla. They would have made even more. Palantir, for example, right? You could have been up like 5x in the past couple of years on that. Having the stock side protects you from crypto side going to zero. And having the crypto side, number one, it allows you to potentially grow your stock portfolio, right? So you should view, in this instance, crypto as like a sort of an income source for your stock portfolio. Like I said, you got 10K, 5 crypto, 5 stocks. This 5K that you have in crypto, let's say you 10x it on a coin. You take out that profit, you put that into the stock market. Now you've grown your stock portfolio. And then you start again in crypto with maybe you keep a little bit extra and you start with 10K again in crypto, right? And this mindset is actually what the best traders in the world do. When I got mentored by a trader who'd been trading for over 20 years when I was younger, when I was like 20, this trader, he was really, really, really good and he was mentoring me. And the way that he was teaching his traders that would trade his capital on his behalf, because he would teach a lot of people how to do it, is that they would start with 100K and their job was to grow it to $1 million. And then once they got it to $1 million, they would take out the 900K and they'd start again. And they just kept doing this. And you ask yourself, well, why don't you just grow 1 mil to 10 mil? And there's a number of reasons. Number 1, liquidity problems. Number 2, emotional problems. Number 3, risk management. It's easier to manage risk on a smaller portfolio, right? Easier to manage the emotions, easier to manage liquidity problems. And that's the same thing in crypto. If you're doing 100x coins, liquidity is going to be a problem, emotions are going to be a problem, and position management is going to be a problem. So if you constantly restart from the number that you can manage without problems, then view the money that you're making as a form of income, right? And that's why it's sort of like an income source from the trading perspective, because it's like this consistent thing, this consistent goal of capital you're trying to get to, which you take out and you put it into your other bucket. So that's what I would recommend for you guys going forward. If you've been all in crypto, you're doing things wrong. There is a lot of money to be made in the stock market, and I just think a lot of people have been underestimating it, especially me. Yeah, if you'd like help with any of this, with building a crypto portfolio, building a stock portfolio, whatever it is, I run a private mastermind community where I work one-on-one with clients to build an exact strategy to navigate these markets. Yeah, you get full access to all the strategies that I followed to go from 5K to 7 mil. So this includes 100x altcoin plays that I'm finding going forward within crypto in the latest metas during bull runs, right? 100x plays don't come in bear markets. It's bull markets, right? And then that includes, 5, 10x passive plays. So when I buy Tesla at 250 and we're just holding that for multiple years, that's the type of play that we're talking about there. And then we also get the long-term passive buy and sell signals for Bitcoin. So that's, Bitcoin over the long term, I think is going to go up in a similar way to a stock would, like Tesla. It's just going to be more volatile. So you need to be more careful with timing the entry and the exit. And that's what I do there. I make that easy. And then also custom building a portfolio by me based on your exact situation. So we'd work together one-on-one with that as well. So if you're interested, you'll find a link in the description below. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.